In Douglas, Michigan.
Is he on?
I don't know. But I just want to show everybody how to make a tuna salad sandwich. Okay, tuna in a can. We have so many cans of tuna because this is a pandemic and we love tuna salad sandwiches. Okay, take the top off. Drain. Drain the water. Drain the water out of it. Okay? Then drop it in.
Okay, I think we got Mark.
We have Mark. Mark, are you there? Is he there?
I think so. Wait, we're waiting. It says waiting for Mark. Okay, keep going.
All right, but I'm going to wait, but he has to see this. He has to know that he should drain the water.
Well, I think he knows to drain the water at this point. It says we're still waiting.
Okay.
Hey.
All right, we got it.
Hi.
We are technology superstars.
Hi. How are you?
Senator, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I can have my daughter who helped me with my, Eliza, will you help me? Please? It's a real pleasure to see you. It looks like a lovely kitchen.
It's a great kitchen. I saw your kitchen.
Well, you saw, like, you know, my extra kitchen. This is what
Oh, I only have one kitchen. Okay, are you ready, Mark? Because, brother, I love you to pieces, and we got to work this whole tuna salad thing out. So tell me if you're ready. Can you see me? Uh-oh. This is just a whole situation.
Did we lose Mark? They're saying this. Just keep going.
All right.
We lost him.
Okay. All right, guys. So, tuna salad sandwich. Okay. So take the tuna, then get it out of the can. Okay. Now it'll be like really chunky. I like to flake it up. Okay. There. All right. So we're gonna get rid of that. There it is. Okay. Chop celery. So one of the best ways to chop celery, just go right down the middle, right? Go down the middle again, right? So horizontal, and then just chop it, okay? See, in nice small pieces, so it adds some good crunch and flavor. Okay, you get the
I think Mark's coming back.
okay.
Here he is.
I'm back again. You know I invented cell phones, right? So I should know how to do this stuff.
There you are.
There I am. As somebody who invented cell phones, let's go. Keep going.
All right, come on.
Let me see what you got. Could you go back one step?
Yeah.
Because as a professional chef, if you watched my video, you knew I moved very quickly and I told chefs they needed a pause. I missed the opening part. Could you show me again? You drained the tuna and you're working on the celery now?
So you drain the so it's in the can, and then it's amazing. It'll just sit in the can while you drain the water out.
Oh my gosh.
It does that.
Oh my gosh.
All right, then Mark, you see the tuna's now in the bowl, and it'll
You
come
put it in
out
a bowl?
big chunks and kind of just like smash it up a little, right? So it's not so chunky. All right.
All right.
Chop some celery.
Celery. Okay.
Okay.
That's green though, isn't it? Isn't
That's
that healthy?
green. Yeah, I know. You could do it though. So you go lengthwise across to the rib.
All right.
Chop it, right? You get the point, okay?
Okay.
Then put the celery in with the tuna, okay?
Wow.
All right. A lot of people like chopped red onions. I usually put it on Doug's sandwich, but if you like red onion, this is a really quick and good way to chop an onion.
All right. Whoever is your producer needs to. I need to see that red onion.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
get the
there
camera
next
down a little
line,
bit.
Mark.
Here,
Sorry.
there.
Thank you. All right.
There
Great. All right. Good.
All right. So then you crisscross the onion like this.
Wow.
Crisscross it like that.
Wow.
Okay? Look at that. You do
Holy
it like
sugar.
this. And then you just do one slice right down there. Look at that. Look at that. Do you see
Were
that?
were you on Top Chef too? I was a judge on Top Chef at one point. I didn't get near the kitchen.
And then you've got some nice chopped onion. Put that in there. Okay?
Good.
And, all right. Mayonnaise.
All right.
You mix the mayonnaise in.
Which kind of mayonnaise do you use? What kind of mayonnaise are you using? Because I got grief because I didn't use Duke's, which is from Virginia, but I originally was going to use Miracle Whip, but I thought that was too gross.
No, Miracle Whip is actually really quite tasty.
I love
Hellman's is
Miracle.
also. I couldn't find Hellman's. You know, it's tough to find stuff. Okay.
It's pandemic. What
Do
kind
mayonnaise.
of
Okay.
mayonnaise is that?
It's Whole Foods.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Fine. You know.
All right. Mayonnaise. I like to do just a teaspoon of Dijon mustard.
Oh, you are definitely Northern California.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's just mustard. It's
That
mustard.
is
You can
Northern
have mustard
California.
powder, you can have dry mustard.
It's not Grey Poupon, I hope.
It's Dijon mustard. Okay, here.
Grey
Then
Poupon.
look and
Yes,
see.
I'm
there
sure.
you are.
You
So
fancy
now-
Northern California people.
Okay,
All right.
so now I'm mixing it up.
All right.
Right.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to get fancy,
Yep, I do.
you could really jazz it up with like a little parsley.
It
Okay.
was Grey Poupon. Oh my gosh.
Parsley.
Yes, ma'am.
Parsley. Chop up a little parsley and throw it in there. Okay.
I've already eaten my sandwich with this much time you're taking, but you know, it's okay.
But look at this is actually pretty quick. Okay, there.
Okay.
Some
Yeah,
parsley,
good.
right?
Right.
Pepper. Throw in some salt, just a little bit, because it's already got a nice amount of salt in it. Then I like to do a squeeze of lemon.
Ooh,
Squeeze
lemon
of
as well? Holy sugar.
Just a squeeze. Look at that.
Just,
Right?
is this in
Now-
Bon Appetit? Is this like, you know,
it's
where did you
just-
get this recipe?
It's a good tuna salad sandwich, man. It's just.
Where did you get this recipe? This is
All right,
like Bon
here.
Appetit complex. Okay, what do you do next?
Okay. So either you can toast the bread. That's a toaster.
You lose that microwave softness if
That
you do it.
soggy bread thing,
Yeah.
you kind of minimize that. So you could do that and then some mayonnaise and lettuce, right?
More mayonnaise, good.
And sandwich. Or if you want to do the tuna melt, right? Put the
That was
tuna
what we
on.
were making, a tuna melt, right?
I
Not
know.
tuna sandwich,
So
a
here's
tuna
the
melt.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Put the tuna on the bread. Put the cheese slice on the other side.
What kind of cheese? Are you a two-slice man? I was a
Cheddar.
two-slice man.
Better, and I sliced it.
Oh.
But you can also the packaged kind. That's
It
fine.
needs to be
That's-
prepackaged. I like
I'm
the
not mad at
prepackaged
you.
stuff.
I
So,
get it. I get it.
all right.
And then this is called a skillet.
OMG. Oh, man. You're adding up those calories. You're almost equal the
But
amount
you
of
know,
mayonnaise. we put on.
actually, I will tell you also with a grilled cheese sandwich, I get where you were going with putting the mayonnaise in the microwave. In that, you actually, and a lot of people will agree, if you on the outside of the bread spread some mayonnaise, because it's basically oil, right?
Right.
With a little egg on it. And then you can put that on the outside when you put your sandwich on to brown it in the skillet. Then you take it out, cut it, and bon appetit.
Wow. Well, Kamala, you know, it wasn't the way I was raised, but I can see that kind of
Mark,
incredible.
you have two kitchens. You just
It's
told me that.
three
I'm
to
not listening
it's
to
three to
you.
court. But I just want to tell you, you've helped me. You've helped me a lot. You've helped educate me. But I have to tell you, I've had so many responses, and maybe you can help me on my next creation, which will include, again, classic white bread, potato bread.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
what
important.
that is. Uh-huh.
You know, when I'm not doing
This
fish
is-
and I
This is
want to,
brown bread.
I know, but you know, I'm talking about yellow potato bread. And I'm thinking about the next thing I'm going to make will have my finest cheese, not cheddar, but my all-time favorite,
Show me.
Velveeta,
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
which is good with everything.
Yeah.
And then because the next sandwich I want to make is actually meat, I thought I'd bring some Oscar Mayer beef bologna.
bologna.
So I'm thinking like maybe we could do another one of these, and we could do. Oh, make sure I'm getting my.
Let me just tell you what to do with that bologna. You fry up some bologna.
Oh, I love fried
so
bologna.
Delicious,
I
right?
love fried bologna.
Yeah, I can get with that.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's again, whether you're in California or Virginia, for the people reviewing this, they can now realize your United States senators can not only pass legislation, but feed the masses.
And feed ourselves in the process.
And eat ourselves. Well,
okay.
You and Doug stay safe, and thank you for that tutorial.
It's good to see you. Take care, Mark.
Take care.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Doug, be safe.
Bye.
Thanks, Mark. Bye-bye.
Good evening, Greensboro. My name is Jasmine Rawls, and as a proud Bennett Belle, I am so excited to welcome you all to our great city today. And I am incredibly honored to welcome Vice President Harris to Greensboro for her 9th visit to the Tar Heel State. This November, I am proud to be a first-time voter. And when I go to that voting booth, I will remember that Vice President Harris and Governor Roth is the only candidate on that ballot who are fighting for a new way forward. Who will be a president for all North Carolinians. And that Donald Trump is only fighting for himself. I remember that she is fighting for young people like me to have an opportunity not to just get by, but to get ahead. I remember her tireless leadership in investing in HBCUs like Bennett College. Delivering a historic $16 billion in our HBCUs across the country. Because she knows our HBCUs are centers of academic excellence. I remember she trusts women to make decisions for their own bodies and their futures. And the same cannot be said about Donald Trump. Donald Trump made it clear again this week that he wants to rip away our fundamental freedoms, and he thinks he knows better than women. And he'll raise our costs to cut taxes for his rich friends. Donald Trump wants to take us back. But here's the thing. Young voters know North Carolina is not going back. Young people like me are looking for leaders who will take us forwards, not backwards. Electing Vice President Harris as President of the United States is the best thing we could do to protect our rights, secure our democracy, and ensure folks have the opportunity to not just get by, but get ahead. We know that the path to the White House runs through North Carolina, and we are up for the challenge. Now, Please join me in welcoming our guest of honor, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Can we hear it for Jasmine, please? I'll tell you, when I hear our young leaders such as Jasmine, I know the future of our country is so bright, so bright, so bright. And it is so good to be back in Greensboro and to be with so many leaders. Thank you all, everybody. Thank you. I want to thank the incredible Governor Roy Cooper. Thank you. Your next governor, Attorney General Josh Stein. Representative Manning. Mayor Vaughn. The Council of State Candidates. And all the leaders with us today. So North Carolina, 2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our debate. You watched it? Did you watch it? And look, I believe we owe it to have another debate, right? We owe it to the voters. Because here's the thing, in this election, what's at stake could not be more important. On Tuesday night, I talked about issues that I know matter to the families across America, like bringing down the cost of living, investing in America's small businesses, protecting reproductive freedom, and keeping our nation safe and secure. But that's not what we heard from Donald Trump. Instead, you know, and I called it at the beginning of the debate, it was the same old show. Same old tired playbook we've heard for years, with no plan for how he would address the needs of the American people. Well, folks, look, it's time to turn the page. Turn the page. America is ready for a new way forward, and we are ready for a new generation of leadership that is optimistic about what we can do for our country together. And that is why Democrats, Republicans, and independents are all supporting our campaign. Because we agree, we have a duty as citizens to put country above partisanship and defend our Constitution. And that is my pledge to you. I will always put country above party. From the courthouse to the White House, I have always fought for the people. Always fought for the people. From being a young courtroom prosecutor, yes, USA, go on. From being a young courtroom prosecutor in Oakland, California, I stood up for women and children against predators who abuse them. As Attorney General of California, I took on the big banks and delivered $20 billion for middle-class families who face foreclosure. I stood up for veterans being scammed by big for-profit colleges, for workers who were being cheated out of their wages, the wages they were due, for seniors facing elder abuse. I will be a president for all Americans. And together we will build a brighter future for our nation. Together. And we're all right, Newt. We are going to build a future where we build what I call an opportunity economy. So every American has an opportunity to own a home, to build wealth, to start a business. And let me tell you, I love our small businesses. Are there small business leaders here? Raise your hand. That's right. Growing up, my mother, she worked long hours. She often worked very long hours, my mother. And so my sister Maya and I would go over to Miss Shelton's house. Now, Miss Shelton, we called her our second mother. She was a second mother to us. She actually was from Louisiana, and she would take care of us in the evenings and on the weekends when my mother was working. And she was a small business owner. And let me tell you what I learned from being a young child about a small business owner, Miss Shelton. Our small business owners, you are business leaders and you are civic leaders. You are community leaders. You hire locally. You mentor. You are part of the fabric of our communities. And you, like Miss Shelton, are the backbone of America's economy. The backbone. So I have a plan for you, and my plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction for startup businesses. Because I understand not everybody, like the person that was on the stage with me the other night, gets handed $400 million on a silver platter and then files for bankruptcy 6 times. Come on. I know because look, my mother, she worked hard, she saved up, and it wasn't until I was a teenager she was able to buy our first home. I know the challenges that Americans and working people and families are having right now in terms of affordable housing. And we need to build more housing in America. So part of my plan, part of my vision for an opportunity economy is we are going to cut red tape and work with the private sector to build 3 million new homes by the end of my first term. And I have a plan to lower the cost of living for America's families on everything from health care to groceries, including taking on price gouging and those corporations when they take advantage of people in need. Under my plan, more than 100 million Americans will get a tax cut. Thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money will go back in your pockets, including $6,000 during the first year of a child's life for young parents, knowing in that critical stage of your child's development, you might need a little help, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And I will always put the middle class and working families first. I know where I came from. I know where I came from. I'm clear about that. Now, Donald Trump, well, he has a different plan. Just Google Project 2025. I see you have. It is a detailed and dangerous blueprint for what he will do if he is elected president. Donald Trump will give billionaires massive cuts, massive tax cuts, and cut corporate taxes by over $1 trillion, even as they pull down record profits. He intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. And he wants to impose what I call a Trump sales tax on everyday basic necessities, which will cost the average American family nearly $4,000 a year. Some of the top economists in our country and in the world have reviewed these plans. Goldman Sachs, for example, has said that my plan would grow our economy and his plan would shrink the economy. That his plan would reignite inflation and send us into a recession by the middle of next year. On top of this, Donald Trump intends to end the Affordable Care Act. Now think about that. Think about that. We remember what it meant when insurance companies could deny you for a pre-existing condition. Remember what that was? So he wants to get rid of it. And as he said in the debate, he made clear he has no plan to replace it. In fact, you remember? Concept. You remember? He has, quote, concepts of a plan. Concepts of a plan. I mean, we're 54 days from this election. Concepts of a plan. Which means no actual plan. Which means no actual plan. And 45 million Americans are insured through the Affordable Care Act. So understand what that means. He's going to end it based on a concept and take us back when folks were suffering. Well, we're not going back. We are not going back. We are not. We're not going back. No, we're not going back. No, we together will move forward because ours is a fight for the future. And ours is a fight for freedom. Like the fundamental freedom of a woman to be able to make decisions about her own body and not 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, with the intention they would undo the protections. And they did exactly as he intended. And now more than 20 states have a Trump abortion ban, including North Carolina, and every single state in the South except Virginia, many with no exceptions, even for rape and incest. It is immoral. Immoral. And I know everyone here understands. Let us agree. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government should not be telling her what to do with her body. Come on. Come on. And when he was asked on Tuesday night, Donald Trump refused to say that he would veto a national abortion ban. Well, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly sign it into law. We are not playing around. And across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won fundamental rights and freedoms, like the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, and the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And here's the thing that I know about all of the North Carolinian leaders who are here. You know this so well, it's part of your DNA. Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. Generations of Americans before us, many from right here, led the fight for freedom. Let's get a medic. Let's get a medic. Do we have a medic? Let's get a medic over there, please. Let's get a medic over there. Yeah, but let's make sure. See, this is who we are. We look out for each other. That's what leaders do, looking out for each other. Okay, we've got a medic. Okay. So generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom, and now the baton is in our hands. The baton is now in our hands. And we who believe then in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. And we who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass an assault weapons ban, universal background checks, and red flag laws. So much is on the line in this election, and we got this. We got this. But look, here's the thing. This is not 2016 or 2020. The stakes are even higher. Because 2 months ago, the United States Supreme Court basically told the former president that he will effectively be immune no matter what he does in the White House. Well, here's the thing. The courts will take care of that. Let's take care of November. How about that? All right? imagine what that court ruling means. Imagine what that means. Because before, there might have been at least the belief that there would be the threat of consequence. But now there's an explicit ruling from the court that suggests he would be immune. Imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails. Imagine what that would look like. He who has vowed, if reelected, he will be a dictator on day one. He who called for the, quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States. And let us be very clear, someone who suggests that we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again. Never. And put that all in the context of people who have been talking about how he was when they served with him in the White House. People who saw him every day. His national security advisor, his defense secretary, his chief of staff, and his vice president. All of whom have warned America, Donald Trump is not fit to be president of the United States. Never occupy our nation's highest office again. So North Carolina, I believe it all comes down to this. We are here together. We are here together because we love our country. We love our country. And we together understand the awesome responsibility that comes with the greatest privilege on earth, the privilege and pride of being an American. It's an awesome responsibility. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. And I do believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country and to fight to realize the promise of America. And so, North Carolina, we have 54 days until Election Day. 54 days until Election Day. And just 35 days until early voting begins. And it's not only the presidency that's on the ballot. There are many, many important races, like Josh Stein running for governor. Whose opponent was handpicked by Donald Trump because he wants a total ban on abortion in this state. And that is just one of the many stakes that are at play in this election. But see, we know the power is with the people. The power is with the people. Your voice is your vote, North Carolina. And you are going to make all the difference in the outcome of this race. And look, we know ours will be a very tight race until the very end. We are the underdog. Let's be clear about that. We are the underdog. And so we have hard work ahead of us, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work. And when ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. There you go. God bless you, and God bless America.
I talk about it being halftime in America. We're a touchdown down, and I kind of like the idea of being a little bit behind.
Well, I'm looking at Coach Walz right now. I'm looking at Coach Walz.
Like I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that?
black,
Like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know.
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
Well, trying to
No,
expand
we'll
my
figure that-
my food knowledge.
You know what? We've got some cantaloupes. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, I
I
called
was
you,
hoping maybe
Tim.
we wouldn't have to.
I called you, Tim.
Yes,
You didn't answer, Tim.
I know.
What happened?
The most important call of my life. It popped up, and we didn't recognize the caller ID, and it went to voicemail.
Hi, this is Jim. I'm not able to answer.
There you go.
As possible. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, it's Kamala. I really want to talk to you.
It is an amazing privilege for me. Also, I'm excited. I just want to be part of the excitement that you're generating.
Well, we're
So
doing it together, buddy.
fun.
We're doing it together. How have these last couple of days been for you?
I can see where the energy comes. America is a hopeful country.
Indeed.
People are excited.
In every one of those groups of thousands, sometimes over 10,000 people, you've seen exactly who we are as America.
Yeah.
People from rural areas, urban areas, of every stripe and size and background. This is who we are as America, and we're
Yeah.
all in it together.
Yeah.
And in this campaign, the only way we win is to keep the pedal to the metal for these next many, many days that we have. So, Tim,
Yeah.
what's your relationship to music?
Yeah. For me, the transformational piece of music was Bruce Springsteen's The River,
Okay.
which is a journey. You know all the tracks,
Yeah.
and I'm that guy. My first car, it's the summer 1980, been saving up. I buy a 1973 orange Chevy Camaro, got an 8-track player in it.
Oh, wow.
Previous owner left Bob Seger's Night Moves in there. I listened to it, and it's kind of the soundtrack of my life of Detroit's own Bob Seger. But what's really great about this is I have a 79 International as my car. It's got an 8-track player in it. I have the very 8-track to this day.
You're kidding
No,
me.
man, no, but how about you?
I grew up, so all these albums here, I mean, Aretha, my mother had every Aretha album, and like our Christmas gift to my mother, her birthday gift was always like, what's the latest Aretha Franklin record?
So it's on vinyl in your house as a
all
background.
of it.
Wow.
All that and Stevie. And then Miles, and my dad loved jazz, and so it was Miles, it was Coltrane, one of my personal favorite musicians for when I was younger was Prince.
Oh.
And of course from your estate.
Yeah.
And he, you know, in fact, I'll tell you, so my husband Doug and I'm more of a hip hop girl.
Yep.
He's more of Depeche Mode.
Oh yeah. Oh, but the same
but
time.
I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah,
you
no,
and
no.
he
Of
like the same
course.
music.
Of course.
But Prince, you know, in the Venn diagram of things, Prince, he and I love the same because, I mean, talk about how Prince was with that guitar, man. I almost know by heart every one of those songs.
I feel like a trip to Paisley Park is going to happen here if the staff
It's on my bucket list, I'll tell you
good.
that. Tell me about your dad and his influence on you.
Yeah.
He served our country. You have served for our country for so many years.
Yeah. I was 19. My little brother, I think, was eight or nine when he passed. He was a chain smoker. You know, just addicted. They got it, but Korean War era, and that generation of men, pretty stoic. After he died, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She became our rock, and now she had to go out and get work because the medical bills broke her, and Social Security. And Social Security survivor benefits. We're fine pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. We had no boots. That's the boots.
And it's survival,
We paid
literally.
it back. It is survival. We all paid it back. So programs that are just fundamental to keeping people from dropping into poverty, but to live with dignity. You keep talking about that.
We got to help people get through a hard time. We can't have a country and policies that let people fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
I love what you have done with your life. You were coaching a high school football team that was winless.
Yes.
And you came in, and so they were clearly the underdogs.
And
what happened?
Yeah, it's a team, and I had great coaches with me, and we were friends, and we buckled down. And look, I was a fairly big school, but nobody wanted to play because they hadn't won. And this group of coaches said, first and foremost, we gotta build the team. We got to go out and find people. So we invited them in, and I'll be honest, the first year we did not score a touchdown until the last game of the year. We got shut out in every game. My high score until the final game was my defensive tackle because we got a safety in one game. 2 years later, those kids won a state championship. That school has won several more since then after we left. You build culture. You build winning.
Right.
People want to be a part of it. And that's the excitement. That's the excitement of what it can be.
That's how I feel about our campaign.
Yeah.
Our campaign is the underdog campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And with our joy, we also have to understand that we're still up against some forces
Yes.
that are trying to divide our country. It pains me the kind of division and the stoking of divisions that has taken place,
Yes.
right? And when we can remind people and create a space for everyone to come where they see each other
That's
and
the
say,
magic.
hey,
They're
we're all
getting-
in this together.
It almost feels like everybody's coming out of their house after a blizzard and, a Minnesota reference, and you shovel out, and then you start talking to your neighbors.
Yeah.
How was it the last couple of days or whatever it might be? They're re-energizing, and they're looking for their neighbors. We keep saying,
That's
keep talking
right.
about the promise of America, and we say, take care of your neighbor.
In the face of a stranger, when you're looking in the face of a stranger, you should see a neighbor, right?
Yeah. I'm about crying on this when you talk about, look, a girl from Oakland, California, and a guy from out in Nebraska
Right.
on there. And the number of people I watch just kind of nod and break into a smile. This exploiting the differences, it can't last. I talk about it being halftime in America. We're a touchdown down because a lot of folks, it's easier to tear things down. It's
Yeah.
easier to divide than it is to build. But once you start that momentum, once we come out and where we're at right now, people want to be part of something that's winning. They want to be part of something that's good, and they want to be part of something that everybody can be a part of. And I kind of like the idea of being a little bit behind.
Well, I'm looking at Coach Walz right now. I'm looking at Coach Walz.
Did you always know you wanted to be an attorney?
My parents met when they were active in the civil rights movement. I grew up around a bunch of people that were, marching and shouting for justice. And some of the heroes of that movement were the lawyers, Thurgood Marshall, right? They understood how to translate the passion from the streets to the courtrooms of our country. And they believed in the Constitution of the United States and the principles upon which it was founded. And that's where they then, in the courts of America, reminded us of the promise, right? And the ideals of our country, including equality, freedom, right? That's why I went to law school. But the other reason is when I was in high school, my best friend, I learned, was being molested by her stepfather. And when I realized what was happening, I told her, you have to come live with us. I called my mom. You know, I have to tell you, Tim, it was the first time that I realized how not everyone can take their safety for granted.
Yeah.
And what we should all feel as a sense of responsibility to protect people from harm.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided I want to be a prosecutor.
Wow.
And as a prosecutor, I prosecuted homicide cases. I prosecuted a number of different types of cases, but I specialized in child sexual assault cases. And one of the things I did was create a whole unit dedicated to focusing on children who are being abused and to ensure that they have dignity in the process and justice. There's so much work that we still have to do to make sure that children have a voice.
For me, that's kind of with me. Get in as a teacher.
Yeah.
It's about the kids and wherever you teach.
Right.
Once I had my own children, it became so clear to me, and I think it made me a really good teacher.
Yeah.
That child who came through the door was somebody's most special thing in their life.
Absolutely.
Thinking of a parent dressing their little one up and sending them off to school so proud of them, I wanted to come through that door and just lift them up, that sense of service.
And
It's
it's great to be
interesting,
in
two different
Detroit.
parts of the country, two different lived experiences, but all coming to that same goal of everybody
Yeah.
getting a fair shot.
Well, you know, I have to tell you, Tim, even though you and I grew up in different parts of the country, you remind me of the people I grew up with. Hardworking folks, plain speaking,
Yeah.
people who know the difference between right and wrong,
Yep.
and care, love thy neighbor in
Yeah.
the most authentic and true way.
Yeah.
Those are the folks I grew up with, and I know that's who you are, and I'm so glad we're doing this
I'm
together.
proud to be with you.
We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. Where every senior can retire with dignity. Where every person has affordable health care and paid family leave. But Donald Trump wants to take our country backward, to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and end the Affordable Care Act. But we are not going
Mother,
back.
she's a diabetic, so she really needs her insulin every day. If Donald Trump is elected, healthcare could be too expensive for us to pay for. He is threatening to terminate the Affordable Care Act. Thanks to Kamala Harris, my mom can afford her insulin. She helped cut the costs of prescription drugs and protected the Affordable Care Act. Kamala Harris knows healthcare is important. She believes we all deserve a fair shot, and she's making it happen.
To all of you, thank you. Thanks for having us in your school. I'm grateful to be part of a team with a really great head coach here in your next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
I was in band when I was your age. Sometimes you hit the note, sometimes you don't, right? But all that practice makes for beautiful music. And so we wanted to come by just to let you know that our country is counting on you. All of you. You are leaders. All that you guys stand for, everything you have at stake is what is going to propel our country into the next era. I also played the xylophone and the vibraphone and the kettle drums. There you go. Right? There we go.
We're the Islands in the South.
Wait, well, okay, come on. The kids have to come forward. Come on, you guys. Okay, who do we have here?
This is my son, Evan.
Hi, Evan. Nice to meet you.
Sorry. barbecue sauce.
No, you're working. You're working. This is all good. If you didn't, I'd be wondering, is he really working? Right?
Well, I wonder
there
that all
you
the
go.
time.
Well, of course.
Sometimes I think he just puts a little sauce on his shirt.
Uh-huh. Giving of yourself and everyone meet you.
It's great to meet you.
For Gumbo Apprentice. These are all local artists? Mostly?
Yeah.
Do you know when they're having a good day, when they're having a challenging day? It doesn't have to change it, it just enhances.
We have 3 of that family working with us.
Come here, let me
Samir,
meet
Zay,
you.
and Justin.
How are you guys doing?
Nice to meet you. How you doing?
Bless you, but I want to get this also. Oh my God, what is that cake?
That's Chef Jay's.
I want a slice of that. Caramel is like my favorite. Okay, chocolate and caramel? Fantastic. But what are you getting?
Oh, I'm good.
No, you don't want anything sweet? You don't want anything sweet?
Yeah, ginger ale.
Get something sweet.
Well, you talked about that caramel cake.
Yeah. Okay. He's on the treadmill. That's good. I worked out this morning. How you doing?
I felt like I needed to channel my inner Kamala and get on the treadmill and get to work.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. But I'm here with your mom, and we were talking about you, and I just wanted to say hello and thank you for all you're doing, okay?
No, thank you for all you're doing. It's such an honor to vote for you.
Well, we're in it together.
And all my friends are voting for you. I'm up in Wisconsin. We have your back.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for all the help, and take care of yourself, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you for the support.
Thank you.
And your mom right now has tears in her eyes.
I have tears in my eyes. Oh my God.
Okay, I'm going to give you back to your mom. Take care, Madison. Okay.
Thank you, you too.
Bye, honey. Make sure she's holding on while she's talking on the treadmill. And being in Savannah, I understand what this means. You guys are doing hard work here too. We're all doing it together. And so, exactly. We're running together, so. I do bacon. Garlic. I put white vinegar. I do. So I start with, I slice up my garlic. But no, first I chop up the bacon and get all that fat going. Then I put garlic, some chili peppers, and then a lot of water and a little chicken stock, and I let it go for a while before I put the greens in. And then, right, so you get that going and all that flavor, and then I put the greens in for a couple hours. Then I do vinegar, and then I cheat and do a little Tabasco.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, but Tabasco of all, like I like Louisiana hot sauce, but Tabasco has that right amount of vinegar. Yeah, and so that's how I do my greens. Just feet on the ground, interacting. The future is always worth fighting for. We fight for a future with affordable child care, paid leave, and affordable health care. Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. Now, Savannah, the baton is in our hands. So we who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks and red flag laws. So much is on the line in this election. Georgia, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight,
100 Republicans who worked in national security for Presidents Reagan, both Bushes, and for President Trump, now endorsing Harris for president.
She came up as a prosecutor, an attorney general, into the Senate. She has the kind of character that's going to be necessary in the presidency.
Vice President Harris is standing in the breach at a critical moment in our nation's history. We have a shared commitment as Americans to do what's right for this country. This year, I am proudly casting my vote for Vice President Kamala Harris.
Former generals, secretaries of defense, secretaries of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, CIA directors, and National Security Council leaders under Democratic and Republican presidents, Republican members of Congress, and even former Trump administration officials agree there's only one candidate fit to lead our nation, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Family.
We're so excited.
Happy birthday, Lindsay. Thank you for everything.
Please join us in welcoming to New Hampshire the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
In New Hampshire. Thank you all. So I want to see 25 million new small business applications by the end of my first term. Part of my plan is we will expand the tax deduction for startups to $50,000. Let's just take away some of the bureaucracy in the process to make it easier for people to actually do something that's going to benefit our entire economy.
It's so good to be with you.
So nice to meet you.
It's wonderful to meet you.
I can't believe you're here, but thank you so much for
glad to
visiting
be
my
with
little
you.
company.
I'm glad to be with you.
Hello,
Hi,
Vice
Dan.
President Harris.
Hi,
Nice to
Dan.
meet you.
Very nice to
And
meet
this
you.
is
Thank
Adam.
you. Nice to
Honored
meet
to be
you.
seen and greeted by a presidential candidate rather than insulted. Thank you.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, you know what? I believe very strongly the strength that we each have is to lift each other up, not push people down. Oh my God, to meet my husband, Doug.
And he's opening a small business, hopefully.
No kidding.
Yeah, so
Really?
Thank you for everything.
Oh, I'm going to tell Doug I saw you. He's going to be so happy to know that.
Thanks for Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And
Yeah.
thank you for the Affordable Care Act.
Right? It's because of the leaders who are here who say this is what we expect from our government and we have a right to expect these things, and it gives people the momentum and the incentive and the courage to get it done. It is you that I have in mind, your family that I have in mind when I think about if we just give people, and increase the resources to tap into that ambition, to tap into the innovation, right? I mean, and this is, it's not only about human potential, right? It's about also what we do to grow the economy. It's about what we do to grow communities, right? Strengthen communities.
And
Oh, thank you for doing what you're
and everything
doing.
you're doing, and we're behind you.
What you're doing here is so inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
while Donald Trump tries to pull us backwards. I will remember that Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are fighting for us, while Donald Trump only looks after himself. I know that they will be leaders for all Americans and work so that we have the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. I know that they will trust women to make the decisions for their own bodies and their own future. I know that the Vice President and Governor Walz will lead the compassion to help ease costs, to help relieve student loan debt, and to help Americans thrive. The same cannot be said about Donald Trump and his MAGA allies here in North Carolina, like Mark Robinson. Donald Trump and Mark Robinson have made it clear that they want to rip away our fundamental freedoms, that they think they know better than a woman, and that they will rise our cost of living while cutting taxes for the ultra-wealthy. Donald Trump wants to take us back. But here's the thing, voters. Here's the thing. Young voters know North Carolina is not going back. Say it with me. We are not going back. We are not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. Thank you. Young people like me are looking for leaders who will take us forwards, not backwards. And by electing Vice President Harris and Governor Walz to lead us is the best thing we can do to protect our rights, secure our democracy, and ensure every folk has the opportunity not just to get by, but ahead. We know that the path to the White House goes straight through North Carolina, and we are up to that challenge. We can meet the moment by making sure we know how to vote, where to vote, and what we need to vote. I'm ready to vote, and I know you are too. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my greatest honor to welcome our guest and the next Vice President of the United States, Governor Tim Walz.
Okay, Asheville, you win. You win. My team just said this is the best rally crowd we have seen, and I think they're absolutely right. Wow. Can we give up one more hand for Stephen? Our future is bright. Two special days today. It's Constitution Day and National Voter Registration Day. Two things we could probably teach Donald Trump a little more about. So, look, I have to tell you, it's great to be back down here, and I say this on behalf of all Americans. The incredible leadership that comes out of this state, and I just want to say this as a point of personal privilege. Thank you on behalf of the rest of the country for giving us the treasure that's Governor Roy Cooper. When you meet governors, it's reflective of the people. And when you meet Roy Cooper, you can't find a kinder, more visionary, more thoughtful, just more compassionate person. It reflects on the great state of North Carolina. That's why it's going to be really hard to find somebody, but I'll be danged if North Carolina didn't. We need to elect Josh Stein as your next governor. To all the local leaders and the folks I've known down here, but I just want to say to all of you, on behalf of the Vice President and myself personally, as an American, to see you folks out here and to see what you've done. Look, you could be anywhere. You could certainly be out of the rain if you wanted to. We know you're smart enough to get out of it, but you've chosen not to. But you came here, you've got busy lives, you've got kids coming out of school, you got things to do, it's a Tuesday, but you came here for the very simple, beautiful reason you love this country. It's also pretty clear North Carolina is certainly not going to little rain stop us from making Kamala Harris the next president of the United States. The vice president told me, she said, gee, I got to tell you, Tim, a couple people showed up in Charlotte and Greensboro last week. Just to let all of you know, the rest of the country was looking at those crowds and looking at the enthusiasm in awe of what you were delivering. So this has been happening all across the country, and Donald Trump, of course, responded like any normal, sane adult would and said, no one's there, it's AI. That's what he would say about all of you, but I always remind them, you know what won't be AI? Your ballots won't be AI. And I gotta say too, to the vice president and the crowds, that it is contagious, you can feel it, that we now believe what we all knew, that the precious democracy we have and that politics and campaigns can be focused on the hard work ahead of us, but they can be done with what Kamala Harris does every single day. Done with joy, done with happiness. Remember when they thought it was a dig because she laughs? Well, it's really great to have a president who laughs with people, not at people, and that's what we're gonna get, so. That's because Kamala Harris has spent her whole life fighting on the side of the American people. You know her story, took on the predators, took on the fraudsters, took on the transnational gangs, took on the big corporate interests, and never hesitated to work with anybody on either side of the aisle if it was right for the American people. I bet she never thought the predators and the fraudsters and the greedy corporate interests would be all wrapped up into one person on a debate stage, so, but she saw it. But I gotta tell you, I'm proud to be on this ticket. And the vice president says this a lot, only in America can you find someone from a middle-class family in Oakland, California, and someone from rural Nebraska who have the ability to become the next president and vice president of the United States. So my guess is some of you know something about small towns. I grew up in a town of 400 people, 24 kids in my high school class, 12 were cousins. I never get away with someone not asking about prom dating on that one either, but, and not one of those kids became a venture capitalist. Imagine that, I don't know. But you know what you do learn growing up, and some of you grew up in small towns and big towns. It's about taking care of your neighbors. It's about looking out for somebody next to you. It's about understanding the common good. We have a saying in Minnesota, when we all do better, we all do better. And I feel blessed. I grew up in a community and with parents who understood this. My dad was a Korean War veteran, so 2 days after my 17th birthday, he took me down, raised my hands, and I signed up for the Army National Guard. I'm proud of that. I wound up doing 24 years in this nation's uniform. And nothing I'll do compare to the honor of doing that work. But I'll also tell you, there's a lot of ways to serve this country, and I had the privilege of serving it as a public school teacher for a couple decades. Coached some football, which was good. And my pro tip of the day is don't ever close the yearbook. We won the state championship, and I talk about it to this day. So there you go. I never thought and never thought about running for office. But I learned something from those kids. They were seeing in me what I was trying to teach them. Common good, lift folks up, think about someone else. And so my neighbors talked me into running for Congress in a district that they did not tell me had had one Democrat since 1892. Well, they gave me the privilege of serving them for 12 years in Congress. And I was consistently ranked as one of the most bipartisan members of that body because I worked on Veterans Affairs. I worked in the Ag Committee. I worked on transportation. Things about making rural economies in our states work. And I learned something really important, that you can compromise without compromising your values. And I know that the Vice President learned those things, so it's good that come November, with your help, after she's elected president and I am elected the vice president, we'll take those values to the White House. Now look, we don't expect everybody to see the world the same way, and it's pretty clear our opponents see the world very differently. We all saw what happened when Donald Trump was in power. The very first thing, don't let him forget this, because, you know, they try and rewrite history every day. They try and, alternate facts, new this, whatever. But be very clear. First thing he did, signed an executive order and talked about this, was to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which protected those of us with pre-existing conditions, let our children stay on our health care till they were 26. And something, thank God for you and Roy Cooper, expanding Medicare and Medicaid coverage across the state. But I will say this, on the second one, this is the one thing he kept his word on, and he actually followed through with it. He said to his rich buddies, well, you're rich as hell, and I'm gonna give you a tax cut. He did. He did give a tax cut to the wealthiest amongst us. All the while creating the largest debt of any president in history. And then, as our Republican friends are so apt to do, they tell you government doesn't work, then they get elected and prove it. We know that shell game. And the third thing he did, and he brags about this often, he forgets about this too. He rammed through 3 judges who made sure that women are no longer responsible for their own health care choices. And I don't know, he found enough energy to do this. He did all that before he tried to violently overthrow our election and deny a free and fair election. We need to be very clear about how we talk about that, because he lost the election, and there's no doubt about that. There's no need to have fair and balanced news coverage on that, because there is no fair and balance. He lost the election fair and square. And look, my high school students know this, and my players knew this. You play hard, the other team plays hard, and after the game, if you lose, you walk across and shake hands and congratulate the other team. That's the way it works. In politics, you take it another step forward. You walk across and congratulate the winner, and then you pledge to do all you can to help them succeed, because that's good for America. Now, I did teach for a while. I think I'm a pretty good teacher, and I would always give my students extra chances to learn. Sometimes you don't learn the lesson the first time. So Donald Trump did not learn the lesson the first time, but the good news is he's going to learn the lesson in November when he gets to do it. But every once in a while, these guys do surprise me. This last weekend, Donald Trump's running mate, Senator Vance, did a really remarkable thing. He got called out by a fair and free press that are a part of our democracy and fundamental to the freedoms of this country. He got called out by that press about telling vicious, hurtful lies about immigrants. But he did something. He did something. He told the truth. They asked him if maybe it was an accident or he didn't mean it. No, he said, I admit it. I'm willing to create stories to spread fear to drum up support for us. Now, the only thing amongst this group is no kidding, we've been seeing that for years. Yes, but at least they admitted it. At least they admitted it. So you got to ask, What other things are they making up stories about? I think you know. I think you know. The reason you do that is because if you told what you really stood for, no one would vote for you. And that includes the folks who think that, because you know you have your neighbors who are out there. Hell, we have them in our families, don't we know? So, but that's what happens. And I don't really like Donald Trump, but I like what he stands for. Oh, really? Suppressing women's reproductive rights, is that the one you want? Or is it cutting taxes for billionaires while you get screwed in the middle class? Is that the one you like? Or is it ignoring real problems, like our children being shot dead in schools? Is it those things or whatever? So I think for all of us, the truth here, you know who Donald Trump is. You know the pain that he caused. He killed thousands of manufacturing jobs across this state. It doesn't matter how many times he tries to rewrite history, that's a fact and you know it. And then he told us that we needed to not have overtime protections for 280,000 North Carolinians. That's $45 million that didn't go into your pockets, but went into the tax cuts for his wealthy buddies. But here's the thing. I think it's important to know where we came from for where it's at. But I know that people are here, and I know that these young people are excited. Look, these guys run on fear. And I know, I supervised the high school lunchroom for about 20 years. It made me an eternal optimist, have to be, but it also taught me fear is an incredible short-term motivator. It doesn't change behaviors. These guys focus on fear of the unknown. Blame the brown man, blame somebody else. That's what they do. It's important to know who they are, but what really inspires people is policies and a vision like Kamala Harris is bringing that's about the future. It's about the future. It's about what we can do together. It's about telling you can do. And she's got the record to prove it. Vice President Harris served in an administration that created 500,000 jobs here in North Carolina in partnership with rural people. Manufacturing jobs coming back home. And something I gotta tell you, I served in Congress and then as governor. Every damn week, Donald Trump talked about Infrastructure Week. Oh, we're going to do Infrastructure Week. And then, of course, the dysfunction of the Congress did nothing. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did something. They passed the largest infrastructure act in American history. And that's real jobs and real work. $10 billion to North Carolina to remove lead pipes from all your homes and your businesses. The Alligator River Bridge, replace it. And then bringing what your governor was a leader in and your legislature pushing on, making sure that high-speed broadband is in every corner of the state. Every corner of the state. And it's about a vision, and it's about where that is. But I got to tell you, it's about them trying to tell Americans to not trust their own eyes, too. So we're not going to miss. We got the opportunity last week. Look, it's crazy to me. There are 330 million people in this country. And there are two people, one of whom is going to be president of the United States. And they were both on that stage last week. And one of them commanded the stage with presence, poise, vision, ridiculous. And the other one was a nearly 80-year-old man shouting at clouds, is what it amounted to. So America saw clearly there's only one person that is going to be, and with your help, will be the next president of the United States. Now, people told me, my God, she did well. She's tough, she's tested, she's ready. And then they would sometimes couldn't help themselves, and they would say, oh, it really surprised me. And I would say, oh. It surprised you that this incredibly talented woman who was a county attorney, an attorney general of the largest state in the country, a United States senator, vice president of the United States, why would you be surprised that she would be able to do that? But I think all of us know Kamala Harris isn't talking about the historic nature of this. She just puts her nose down and does the work. She stays, as we say in the Army, she stays in her lane every single day. And she does. But for us to have her back and to recognize what it means here, look, there are so many people here. There are so many of you who have worked at this for decades to do this that have continued to crack that glass ceiling. Well, cracks in the glass ceiling aren't enough. We need to make sure that that glass ceiling is shattered and Kamala Harris steps through. Donald Trump that night had the entire 90 minutes to tell us what he would do to make life a little better for average Americans like us. He didn't do a damn thing. Now, I will say this. Again, the teacher in me always wants to find progress. And you know the kid. You got here today, Gary. I'm so happy. You know that one. Donald got on that stage, and after 9 long years dealing with a health care plan, he presented us a concept of a plan. Seriously, none of my students ever gave that weak of an answer when you got there. So, the issues that are important to you, again, we understand, and politics can be fun, but it is very clear. Donald Trump has no plan for you. He has no plan to improve your life. Kamala Harris, a very different story. Growing up in that middle-class family, she's laid out a plan for an opportunity economy. And I think it's important to tell our neighbors this. Get the phones out, you're hitting record, send them a video. It's beautiful. Some of you say, I know why this guy was a good teacher. He identifies with the attention deficit people in this. So, no, it's about being in the moment. You are at a political rally with your neighbors. So tell your friends if they're wondering why they think they should vote for her now that they said, my God, she did better than I thought she was going to do. My goodness, she's super accomplished. Let's go down a list a little bit of what she's going to do. Let's run them off here. If you're hoping to buy a home someday, which all of us want to, she's going to help make it more affordable. If you're getting squeezed on grocery prices, prescription drugs, she's going to make sure we take on the price gougers and Big Pharma. And if you have an idea, you want to start your own small business, she's going to make sure that the tax credit on that, we cut through the red tape, give you help on the front end to let you achieve the dream that you want to. And this is one that's personal to me because we know who built the middle class. If you're a union member or want to be a union member, she'll sign the PRO Act and make it easier to form a union and collectively bargain. And the biggest thing is you saw it. You saw it in Chicago. You saw us talk about it. Freedom. It's not just a song that she comes out on the stage, although it's really cool when she does come out on stage to freedom. But we talk about freedom, and that freedom is fundamental. The freedom to live your life the way you choose, not with government interference. And I say this as someone who knows this, and this is a part of the state. You know this too. Republicans used to talk the same way about freedoms. They used to really believe it. Not these guys. Now when they talk about it, government should be free. Invade your doctor's office. Make decisions for you. Invade your bedroom. Tell you who you should love. Invade your school library. And now, Trump is trying to create this new government entity that will monitor all pregnancies to enforce their abortion bans. And then, look, these are stories that we hear, and I got to tell you before I go on this, I balk at even mentioning his name, but as I was the former chair of the Democratic Governors Association, and winning the governorship in North Carolina is our #1 priority. Because you have Josh Stein, because he's following Roy Cooper, but let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. If you search those 330 million people, you would not find a worse candidate than Mark Robinson. He says it's not your body anymore once you're pregnant. So for your neighbors, friends, daughters, everyone else, you think about this. You really want to have a federal agency run by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance giving a Mark Robinson the authority to monitor your pregnancy? That stuff is so dystopian that Orwell wouldn't even write about it. Trust me. Trust me. But here's the thing. People live their lives differently, and we respect that. You worship the way you want to, love who you want to, take the job you want to. Do that. I might not choose the same thing you do, but the thing we say in Minnesota is, you know what makes things work really well? Mind your own damn business. And this is why I know that's not just Minnesota, that's everywhere. We started the morning with rallies down in Macon, Georgia, where they're fired up and ready to go. We stopped by the famous H&H Cafe down there, and some of you know it. Midnight Rider, that's my go-to for you on that. Buy that one. But on the wall, they had a sign that they had written up there, and it says, mind your own damn biscuits on here. They said that's a nice way of saying what you said, Governor, is what we're going to say. So look, this stuff is personal for all of us. And that's why we can't this is not theoretical. You're not rooting for your team. You're not like, oh, I'm on the Red Hat team, and damn it, I'm going to stick with them no matter how bad they are. Ditch them. Ditch them if they start doing bad. Go on. Because it's personal. And I know none of us want to have to talk about this. There was a story that came out yesterday. Amber Thurman, a woman from Georgia, who had to come up here and try and get reproductive care because her pregnancy was going bad. She ended up, because of that and going back to Georgia, falling into sepsis and dying. A 28-year-old mother, because of Donald Trump's horrific policies. These things are personal. For my family and we weren't able to have children. My wife and I talked about this. And those of you out here have gone through this, or if you know somebody, the hell of infertility. It breaks your soul. You're waiting for the phone calls. They don't come in. It strains your relationship, and all you want is to have that child. These guys talk all the time about families. Today they had a damn vote to correct IVF, and they killed it. They killed it. Because this is the most precious thing to us. So you better bet, when our daughter was finally born, we named her Hope for that reason. And I said this, she and her brother are a whole world to us. That's what this election's about. We don't want to have to go talk about this private stuff. Stay out of our business. But we have to, because what I know is, if these guys win and get their way, they made it clear today, they're not just going after abortion, they're going after fertility treatments. They're going after contraception. They're going to create this federal agency to track you. The idea that some family would go through that horror with not having access to have beautiful children like we have, don't ever come to me and tell me you're pro-family values, because that's a damn lie. That's a lie. Oh, and by the way, you know what we do after our children are born? We care for them. We provide them meals. We provide them health care. So look, when Vice President Harris talks about freedom, we mean people, not politicians, making those health care choices. Be very clear. We mean education as a ticket to the middle class, not crippling student loan debt. And we mean that our seniors should retire with dignity by strengthening Social Security and Medicare. I always say this, these folks who don't want government, who don't want anything or whatever, these are always the people, you know, oh, I don't want my property taxes to go up to pay for the local swimming pool that all of our kids swim in. That's because they got one in their backyard. They don't care. And they don't care if Social Security goes insolvent or they raise the age, because they're not depending on it like my 89-year-old mom to pay the heating bill and buy groceries. So look, this issue of freedom to live the life you want to, freedom to make your own choices, freedom to make sure that government stays the hell out of your bedroom and your choices on that. All of those things from healthcare on down the line, to make those own choices for yourself. That's what this is about. And I will not stand back and watch this. Coming from Georgia, which we saw last week, and we see it every week, hundreds of times in this country. When we talk about freedom, we mean freedom to send our little ones to school without being shot dead in their classroom. I come from that culture. I'm a veteran, I'm a hunter, I'm a gun owner. Oh, by the way, we learned at the debate, so is the vice president, by the way. I say that because we support the Second Amendment. But you don't get to hide behind that when our first responsibility is to the safety of our children. And having been someone who sat in my office with dozens of parents of the Sandy Hook children, as they looked at the picture of my son on my desk and said, our children would have been your son's age. By the way, the Sandy Hook children would have been seniors this year in high school. How morally bankrupt do you have to be when Donald Trump says things that when children die in mass shootings, we just need to get over it? And then, and just last week, J.D. Vance told us it was just a fact of life. These are the people who are spending all their time trying to ban books from our schools, but they can't spend a minute banning assault weapons from our schools. And let's be clear, they don't trust the American people. They don't trust you to make your own health care decisions. They certainly don't trust when they want everybody to vote because they want to suppress the vote because they know how you vote. But they don't trust us to solve the toughest problems. Why is it every other nation in the world can figure this out and not get their children shot and we can't? Vice President Harris is right and she'll do something about it. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. You heard it here and each of you know it. We can't afford 4 more years of this guy. We've seen Project 2025. I'll thank them for this. At least they wrote out what they're going to do this time for us. And they said, oh, we don't know anything about it. Oh, really? JD, you wrote the foreword to the architect of it, you know. Might have done that. But look, I know it's true. If somebody takes the time to create a playbook, the football coach in me knows they're going to run the plays. They're going to run the plays. So they told us what they're going to do. And this is the one that's really something. Mr. Vance also said this, and this is a direct quote. I'll get this right. We need to be really ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. We need to be really ruthless with the exercise of power. Look, there's no excuse for us not to say they didn't tell us. They told us. But Kamala Harris isn't running to be in power. She's running to govern in the name of the American people. So when they're talking about being ruthless, be very clear, and I trust them on this. This is one that I do. I don't trust him on much, but I trust him on this. Donald Trump has proposed cutting taxes for billionaires because he told them, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He will do it, adding $5 trillion more to our debt. At the same time, he's proposing, now get this, he's proposing these massive tariffs that only Donald Trump knows about, apparently. Every economist in the world says that will end up being the equivalent of a national sales tax, costing every single family $4,000 a year. Now, they also badmouth, and for those of you in here, those who are public employees, thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. Those are our police, our firefighters, our teachers, you know the ones. They care for our seniors, they care for our children, they're epidemiologists, they care for our natural resources. Donald Trump's plan is, he doesn't like those folks because they're not political. They're above it. He wants to gut all of those folks and put in only his people. Bad-mouthing the folks, I was out in Nevada last week where Forest Service folks are fighting forest fires. Those are folks that put their lives on the line for us, something bigger than them. And the reason that this is such an alien concept for Donald Trump is he doesn't understand service to anyone but himself. To no one but himself. So throwing the things out there, They will ban abortion across this country. Now, he said, no, I'll do IVF. Oh, I'll make it, I'll make it free. He was like this, baby for you, baby, and this guy's going to come to your house pretty soon and promise to give you birthday parties is when he's in right now. We're in that stage of the campaign because he's sure the hell can't tell you he's going to cut taxes for billionaires. He sure the hell can't tell you that he's going to prevent IVF treatments. He can't do any of that. But he is so enamored. He had an opportunity on that debate stage when they asked him to someone he admired, someone globally. Who do you admire that's out there, whatever? There's a lot of people he could have chosen. I think a group he could have chosen were brave young Ukrainians who are on the front lines resisting. But everyone here knows why he wasn't going to do that. Because he couldn't answer the question if he wanted Ukraine to win that war. You got your answer when he couldn't say that. Because this guy admires Putin. He admires Kim Jong-un. He admires Xi Jinping. And you know when he was asked who he could pick out? Viktor damn Orban. Viktor Orban. That's the guy you get. And look, here's the thing. He thinks those guys like him. Can you imagine if those four get together when they talk about what a weak and what a sucker Trump is to be played? You know they do it. Oh my God, he's so easy. Just tell him his hair looks nice and he'll give you whatever you want. Just tell him he's handsome and he'll pull out of NATO. That's how it works. What was really great though is you saw how quickly Kamala Harris baited him. Because he would be furious to know this crowd in Asheville is far bigger than he ever got. So look, we know what's at stake. They outsmart him, we know what we get. But bringing it back to the focus of who we are and what Kamala Harris talks about being a president for all Americans, I talk about this often. Two things she says that I just love to hear her say it. It's so simple, but it's beautiful. She says the mark of leadership isn't who you can tear down, it's who you can lift up. Simple. Simple. And then we were getting off a bus at a rally, and it was just her and her husband, Doug, and my wife, Gwen, and I, and this was a few weeks ago, and I'm on the bus, and I'm still like, oh, man, this is so cool to be on the bus with the vice president. And we're going to get out at a rally, and there's a whole bunch of our supporters, and there's folks that aren't our supporters. And I said, it's always nice because you can tell them because they have the same hat on, and you just see them, and they're there. But she turned around and looked at me, and she said, Tim, we work just as hard for the people and their families on this side of the street as we do on this side of the street. And that's what all of us believe. Because that's who America is. And I saw it this summer. I had the privilege of a lifetime to be in France on the 80th commemoration of the D-Day landing. And I was riding on a bus with several of our Medal of Honor awardees who had earned the Medal of Honor for bravery. And we were going down these dusty little trails to get to the beaches of Normandy, and the houses were decorated with little French flags, with little British flags, with little Canadian flags, with little American flags. To the cemeteries where the sons and daughters of the free nations of the And while our young warriors died on that foreign beach, they died for the common humanity, the common decency, the common human rights that we all aspire to. Donald Trump, when Vladimir Putin invades a democratic country, he says, I don't care, do whatever the hell you want. Donald Trump tells Putin that. So when you hear Vice President Harris say, our allies are terrified of him coming back into power again. But the good news is, that's not going to happen. So, we are not going back. I said, I love all the things. My wife talks about turning a page. She's an English teacher and all of that. I just like this one. This damn TV show of his has been on too long. Let's just cancel it in November. Let's just cancel it. So, But here's what we get with Kamala Harris, and here's what we get with all of you out here, and people like Stephen and others who are inspired. We've got a new generation of American leadership that's inspiring the rest of the world. So you saw it. Kamala Harris can take care of herself. Our job is to do the blocking and tackling and cover her back. That's what our job is. So this is where I never get too far from being Coach Walz on these things. This is where I'm going to be. Think about it. If everybody here tonight gets just one more person to do a phone bank or a door knock, just one, talk to somebody, one more conversation, have that conversation. I'm trying with all of my relatives, I'm trying with everybody else to make the case that we're in this together. We can chart a new way forward. Hell, I get it. You're out here, you're standing in the rain, you're giving your money, you're knocking on doors, you're doing all that. But my God, what a privilege to fight for the democracy. What a privilege. "49 days to go. We're finally going to have early voting starting here in North Carolina on the 17th. And we get the opportunity to make a difference, not just for 4 years, but for 40 years. Not just here, but across the world. That's what we get to do. So we're in the fight, all gas, no brakes, sleep when you're dead. And as the next president of the United States says, when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you.
K.A. Greetings, most gracious ladies of the uppermost house of Alpha Chapter, Alpha Kappa, Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Howard University, Washington, D.C. 20059.
In the spring of 1986, Kamala Harris and 37 other women at Howard University joined Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the oldest Greek letter organization established by African American college-educated women, founded at Howard.
You know, we always said Kamala's going to do great things, and we didn't know exactly what it would be, but we would take President of the United States any day. I say at this stage in our relationship as line sisters, we have done life together. You know, we really are connected. And a lot of people don't understand the depth of that, but it's real for us.
Many of them and fellow members reunited in Chicago to attend the Democratic National Convention where their line sister would make history. The ladies shared stories of the Democratic nominee and their personal efforts towards mobilizing voters.
Hey, you need to look at the surge states. Go to your neighboring states. Go to those battlegrounds.
We have a huge fundraiser during the Black Caucus. We're going to schools. I am a teacher. I am reaching out to some stores in the area. We are trying to get high school students to vote, just to really make them understand the importance of what's going on.
They enjoyed food, fellowship, and reflected on the impact of their line sister and friend.
And as she has progressed up the ladder, we have seen it, we have witnessed it. But no matter what happens in her life, she makes sure that she is connected to her line sisters. The access we have is so special because she carves out time to be with just us.
And Vice President Harris, just in case you're watching this, your sisters have a special message for you.
Kamala, we love you.
Reporting from Chicago for Howard University News Service, I'm Trinity Kinslow.
Medicare came into my life several years ago. When you're self-employed, my insurance premiums every month were substantial. And if I didn't have it, then you're taking a gamble. Now that I'm on Medicare, my premiums have come down. You put the money in over the years, and now you're getting something back. Donald Trump will cut Social Security and Medicare. Look, I'm for small government, but cutting health care for millions of people does not make any sense. Kamala Harris will protect Social Security and Medicare.
The consequences of our future president not liking my Indian food.
Can I just tell you something?
Yeah.
I've never made dosas.
Oh, hi! I love that you're coming to the kitchen already. Like you live here.
Coming to the kitchen. That's what we
So
do.
nice. Are you stressed for making Indian food?
Oh my God, you do it at a taster's. Oh my, you have no idea. This is how my mother kept all of her stuff.
This is so funny. I told my dad I was like bringing over the stuff from the store. He's like, obviously I put them in Taster's Choice.
But
and passed
this
them
literally
over.
was how my mother kept all of this stuff.
That's
We
so
would have
funny.
to think, what is that?
Do they tell each
I
other
don't know.
Hi guys, it's Mindy. I'm here in my kitchen, and today we are cooking, but we have a very special guest. Very special. Senator Kamala Harris.
Hi guys.
Wait, so here's what I want to know.
Okay.
Is it respectful to call, like I should be calling you Senator Harris, right?
No, you should not. That's not on my birth certificate.
Okay.
Call
Kamala?
Yes, please.
Okay, because the Indian in me, I feel like my parents,
Just
my
don't
dad
call
will
me
watch this.
Just don't call me auntie.
Okay, I won't call you auntie. They'll be like, how could you call her by her first name? She's worked so hard. Okay, so what we're gonna cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you are Indian.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian,
Yes.
but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people
You
we're
do.
related already,
Yeah.
so this is perfect. It's basically true. And so were you raised eating South Indian food?
South Indian food. Lots of rice and yogurt, potato curry, dal, lots of dal, idli.
Yes, Italy. That's a deep cut. Okay, so what we're cooking today is two things. One of the South Indian staples is dosa, which is kind of like a sourdough crepe. And then we're gonna make a potato curry, which is the traditional accompaniment. So I printed out, so
Where did
we're
you
doing
get
it
this
the
recipe?
old-fashioned way, which is I printed out a recipe from the internet.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so when I told my dad that I was going to be cooking South Indian food for you, he
Yes.
was extremely excited. He said, "I shall get the spices." But he took them all the Indian spices, and he put them
In the Taster's Choice jars. And this is exactly what my mother would do. So when I walked in and saw this, literally, I didn't know it was actually a thing among our
I
people.
guess it's an Indian thing.
It apparently is a thing.
Okay, cool. So this is all the spices we're going to use, courtesy of my dad.
Okay.
And then dosas take a really long time to make the batter. So what we have is this great company, this Indian company actually, makes ready to make. You can get it at the Indian store. So we're busy. It's dripping.
Okay.
It's
It's dripping. Okay. So South Indians, it's vegetarian. It's all vegetarian. So when we were growing up and we'd go to India, and my grandfather was a little mischievous. So my grandmother, of course, was like strictly no, nothing. If it had a mother, it was not getting eaten. And if my grandmother would go out of town, my grandfather would then, he'd get very mischievous and he'd say, okay, let's have French toast. Because of course that has
an
eggs.
egg. So when I would go and visit my family, obviously no meat. Even the dog would eat rice and yogurt. Yeah, the dog would eat rice and yogurt. And the dog would like the rice and yogurt. Very good Hindu vegetarians. But then I'd get older, cool cousins who would take me out on their motorcycles, and we would all split like a lamb burger.
Right. It
Because
was
fast
like
food, but like no beef or anything, obviously. But we would have lamb burger, and then we couldn't tell any of our grandparents about it. That's a fine shop.
Right.
Okay, Senator Harris, I say this with respect. You're kind of a show-off. It's like, meanwhile, it's taken me 20 minutes to do this much of ginger. Okay, what can't she do? You got my vote. So your mom worked, and my mom worked, but my mom also...
Your mother was a doctor.
Well, it's just interesting thing about Indian women of a certain generation is you had to do both. Yeah. Right? Like my mom would wake up at 5 in the morning before she went to the hospital to see patients, and she would cook food for the whole week.
Oh yeah, Mommy did that too.
And so some food that was cooked, dinner food was cooked at 6 a.m. And then she would leave, and then so all of our food was cooked, and we of course didn't understand. We're like, we want to go to McDonald's. But there was this a 4-course Indian meal for us, even if she wasn't there to eat it with us. And it was that kind of a thing that was completely normal when you're the children of professional immigrants.
Listen, this is how it was, because we would often come home from school before our mother would come home from work. And then there was always fresh baked cookies.
No.
Or always.
Oh my gosh.
So all of that stuff, like everything was from scratch. And this is why maybe I've become hopefully not a snob about food.
Someone who can cut up onions like that. Like we're on a
but I
cooking
take it
show.
very seriously.
Yeah. Listen, this is controversial. I put peas and cashews in mine. Yay or nay?
I noticed that. That was, you know, I mean,
Okay,
it's fine.
all right. Your silence was very damning. Yeah. I knew what you wanted to do.
No, but you know what? I want to try it. Go for it.
No, because I don't want to suffer the consequences of our future president not liking my Indian food. So why don't I just we'll just play it safe?
Okay, put a couple in. Just put a couple in. Can I just tell you something?
Yeah.
I've never made dosas.
Okay, but you're really good about critiquing them. Great. This is going to be great for me. All right, so let's get to the cooking part of it. I always use too much oil. I'm often surprised when I make things from scratch.
Right.
This is why I needed a U.S. Senator to witness me do it.
You are doing such a good job. How old were your parents when they came over?
My parents were, I think, almost maybe late 20s, like 28, 29, 30. Yeah.
See, my mother came when she was 19.
Wow.
By herself.
No way. Wow.
My grandfather was very progressive, and she wanted to study science.
My mother's father was the same way.
And you know, this is the thing that's really interesting, because people have these stereotypes and actually misconceptions about who Indians are. I mean, at least I can speak about my own experience, and you have a similar experience, sounds like, where, you know, my grandfather was very progressive. Like, his daughter wanted to go and do that, and he was like, go ahead.
I think this is done.
I think so too.
And I think that we can move on to dosa.
Okay.
Here's my pre-made dosa mix that thousands of Indian women around the world are gasping that I'm using. I'm just gonna put some oil in the pan.
Okay.
Now, would your family, would they do the thing where they took the paper towel and spread it around, or do they just leave it like this?
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I'm really stressed about doing this since you're...
Okay, can I just tell you, I'm in awe that this is happening at all in a real kitchen in front of me. Look at how gorgeous that is. You're doing such a great job.
So I think the key to dosa is very simple, which is a lot of oil. So what I do is put a little bit of oil in the holes to make it like crispy.
Oh, that's smart.
My dad kind of always did this.
Hi! This is your father?
This is my dad, Avu.
Hi, Uncle.
Dad, this is Senator Harris.
It's an honor to meet you.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
It's so good to meet you.
Thank you for coming.
My grandparents lived in Bessenager.
Yeah, actually,
They were in
my family lives there.
Yes, I would go and take walks on the morning on the beach with my grandfather.
Yeah.
Dad, do you know that her family keeps spices in Taster's Choice
We
bottles?
would keep the same in Taster's Choice bottles. Why is it that you guys keep these things in Taster's Choice? I never asked, but my mother drank Taster's Choice coffee every morning, so I guess, and we recycle everything, of course.
Wait, Senator Harris, what do you think of this dosa? I think it's done?
That's really good.
I think it's going to be pretty good. There we go.
Wow, I am really impressed.
Okay, so now the components are all ready. And we're just gonna take the potato and put it into the dosas.
Yum.
And now we'll fold them over. That was the better way to do it. Yes, wait.
Look at how gorgeous that is.
I'm gonna do the same thing on mine. So, masala dosa. Thank you for eating this. I would give this a hard B-. The dosas weren't, I didn't think they were.
But the flavor is very nice.
Thank you. I was nervous cooking in front of you.
But you shouldn't be. You're such a good cook.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good.
Maybe when you're in the White House, I can come and cook you a meal. Thank you so much for cooking in my home with me.
I'm so glad to be with you.
I'm so honored and excited to vote for you.
You're the best.
I've never slept a full night in my entire life. I was 5 years old when my stepfather abused me for the first time. I just felt like I was alone on a planet with a monster. I was 12 when he impregnated me. I just remember thinking I have to get out of my skin. I can't be me right now. Like, this can't be it. I didn't know what to do. I was a child. I didn't know what it meant to be pregnant at all. But I had options. Because Donald Trump overturned Roe v. Wade, girls and women all over the country have lost the right to choose, even for rape or incest. Donald Trump did this. He took away our freedom.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Out here, in the wide open spaces, we are reminded of the values we share: a commitment to community, country, and standing up for what's right. Tim Walz grew up in a small town in Nebraska where he spent summers working the family farm. There were just 24 students in his graduating class. His dad served during the Korean War, and that meant a lot to Tim. So he enlisted right after his 17th birthday and served 24 years in the National Guard, rising to Command Sergeant Major. Tim went to college on the GI Bill and became a social studies teacher. That's where Tim and I met. We shared a classroom with a divider right down the middle. His classroom was a lot louder than mine, but I could hear how engaged his students were. Tim taught for over 15 years, and he coached football, helping lead the team to a state championship after 0 wins just a few years before. Tim taught them how to believe in themselves and that we're all in this together. When one of our students started the school's Gay Straight Alliance, Tim agreed to serve as faculty advisor because he knew how impactful it would be to have a football coach involved. He inspired his students, and he changed lives.
He is just so joyful in everything that he does, but I think also standing up for, what he believes to be right, stands up to bullies.
Then, Tim's students inspired him to run for Congress in southern Minnesota. Tim spent a lot of time working with Republicans, fighting to help farmers and expanding veterans' benefits. Whether it was in Congress or as governor, his focus has always been helping working people like those he grew up with. That's why he fought for the largest tax cut in Minnesota state history.
But Tim Walz was there for small businesses like ours.
With the urging of Governor Walz, we were able to pass the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act, and it has saved lives in Minnesota.
With Tim as governor, Minnesota is one of the best places to raise a family and one of the best states for business. Tim's a lifelong hunter and gun owner. But after the Sandy Hook school shooting, he knew that we had to do something. So he's fought for background checks and red flag laws. But of all the things he's done, Tim loves being a dad. We struggled to have kids, and fertility treatments made it possible. There's a reason our daughter is named Hope. Hope and Gus mean the world to us.
Governor Walz making good on a promise to his son and family yesterday by getting them a puppy.
Then we're going to go get some food, corn dog.
I'm vegetarian.
Turkey then. And
Turkey's meat.
Not in Minnesota, turkey special.
He's as at home on a farm, a fishing boat, a football field, or a factory floor as he is on the floor of Congress. Tim's commitment to service all comes back to the values we grew up with. Love your country, help your neighbor, and fight for what's right. Because that's what America is all about.
2 middle-class kids. One, a daughter of Oakland, California. The other, a son of the Nebraska Plains, only in America. Is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House?